The latest details. We have former acting U.S. Attorney General Matthew Whitaker along with attorney Thomas Dupree. But let's go to Matthew Whitaker first. And Matthew, I wanted to ask you, so we have a little more information, but no real specifics. So let's break this down. Now, the warrant allows for locations to be searched, including the 45 office, all storage rooms, all other rooms or areas within the premises used or available to be used by the former president of the United States and his staff, which include boxes, documents. It could be stored, including all structures and buildings on the estate. Really, this opens the door, Matthew, for agents to snoop everywhere, right?
Well, and that's all reports have suggested that that's exactly what they did, is they went all over Mar-a-Lago, including their private residence at Mar-a-Lago and the president's office at Mar-a-Lago. And what they found is very interesting. There's allegedly 11 sets of potentially classified, secret, top secret information. The real question, though, and I think that what this case is going to boil down to if they ultimately try to charge President Trump, are two things. One is, did he have knowledge that this was classified or that he possessed the classified information, because that's the standard. And then ultimately, did he declassify this while he was president? Remember, he did several tranches of declassification while he was president.
Yeah, and that might be some contentious issues there. Well, so as you mentioned, they collected some 20 boxes and some photos along with it, along with documents that include classified and top secret documents. And it specifically says various classified TS/SCI documents. Matthew, can you break down what that actually means, and is that significant?
Yeah, so TS/SCI is really the highest classification. It's top secret, specifically special compartmentalized, which means that those are individual programs that you're read into, and if you don't have the proper clearance, then you can't have that information. Again, just because something has a top cover sheet doesn't mean it hasn't been declassified. And I really think, based on what President Trump has been sharing on social media, that's really what this case boils down to, is were any of these documents declassified? He believes they all were, and I think that defeats any knowledge requisite, and it points to really that the FBI, could have maybe thought a little bit more and tried to resolve this without executing this draconian search warrant.
Yeah, I mean, and this is really unprecedented, to have a former president of the United States who could be the actual opponent of this current president and have this, raid happen of his house. Yeah. Speak to that a little bit about how this set a new precedent.
It does, and it just demonstrates how out of touch really the Department of Justice is with kind of, how this was received after the news was announced. I mean, if you saw the outrage that poured out across the country, you see that a lot of folks think that the FBI and the DOJ has lost its way. There's a two-tiered system of justice, and if you think about Hillary Clinton's case, same example. But she, if you remember Jim Comey's press conference, he said, she didn't have the requisite knowledge, and so if President Trump believed that the information he had was declassified, then the case is over. And before they even get to that threshold, he had to even know that he had it. And if you have been following the stories, the GSA is the ones that packed up his office and created these records and these boxes in the first place.
So I want you to listen to something here. This is Nancy Mace today. Listen to this.
This had never happened before, and you saw Merrick Garland doing damage control yesterday afternoon because this raid has spectacularly backfired. And you're right, Hillary Clinton's bathroom was never raided, and she had a server, personal server, private server with classified information on it. You had Sandy Berger, who was also part of the Clinton administration. His home was never raided, and he stole classified information from the National Archives down his pant leg and out of the building. But you see that the left doesn't hold their side accountable on any of these issues.
And you alluded to some of those cases there. Just quickly in the last 30 seconds or so, the precedent that it sets, you can't undo this. And presidents down the road are now going to have to watch exactly what happens with their administration and the next administration, aren't they?
Yeah, and don't forget about General Petraeus as well. But, I think Kim Strassel wrote a really good piece in the Wall Street Journal, which exactly went to this issue, is, you have released forces that you're not going to totally appreciate what you've done, and the American people are going to expect this tit-for-tat is going to continue, because obviously you can't have a two-tiered system of justice.
Exactly. Matthew Whitaker, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. We're going to let you go here and cover this from all angles. As we do, let's now bring in former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Thomas Dupree. And Thomas, I want you, so July 5th, 2016, James Comey outlined how Hillary Clinton had 8 emails that fall into the top secret SCI classification. There was no raid, though. Is this a double standard?
Well, it certainly raises these questions, because as I agree with the former Attorney General, is that we have to have a one-tiered system of justice in this country. And there's no question that Hillary Clinton was mishandling classified information that even if she lawfully had access to, she wasn't handling in the proper way. Now, look, I understand that there can be differences. There can be differences in scale. There can be differences in intent. And I suppose that's what Merrick Garland ultimately will say if you put that question to him, that this is just a different situation or it's more egregious. But I think many Americans are looking at this and saying, well, wait a minute, isn't this the same thing we just went through with Hillary Clinton? And look how that turned out.
Exactly. And taking a step back here, Thomas, Merrick Garland was denied a vote to become a Supreme Court justice by Senator Mitch McConnell. And now we're seeing Attorney General Garland has, at every turn, basically, it seems like, targeted conservatives. Talk about the task force to investigate parents at the PTA meetings, the lack of movement on the case against Hunter Biden. Is there an inherent bias, do you think, now with this Attorney General that he has to answer?
Well, I mean, the great irony here, of course, is that President Obama nominated Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court precisely because President Obama thought that he would be attractive to conservatives. And he did draw some Republican support. But that's kind of the irony here, is that this is the guy who came in famously saying that he was going to, restore integrity to the Justice Department, eliminate any sort of partisan bias. And then when he does this, and from my perspective, one of the big mistakes was that he didn't get out in front of this, that it took him days before he went before the cameras and explained in a very limited fashion. We still don't know the whole story, but he at least took him days to come out and make the public statement that he did.
Yeah, and it lets people get their emotions going. So the Evening Edit team here posted a poll on Twitter asking Americans if they approve of the raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, and 77.8% disapprove. Not a scientific poll, but it shows the enormous step this raid was in the minds of Americans, right?
Well, that's the thing. And look, the Justice Department, it's the gold standard historically in terms of its integrity, nonpartisanship, doing everything by the book. And those are some of the things Merrick Garland said, properly in my view, when he finally did address the nation. But he had to have known the firestorm that executing this warrant would create. Merrick Garland's been around Washington a long time. This is not his first rodeo. This public blowback and the pushback and the questions could not possibly have taken him or the administration as a whole by surprise. And frankly, I'm a little perplexed as to why they weren't better prepared for that.
Tom Dupree, thank you very much. A lot of questions that this Attorney General is going to have to answer going forward. So we'll see how this all plays out. I appreciate your time. Thank you.